Hi everyone! Today I'm up on the Citrus Twist Kits blog sharing a process video for this week's Sunday Sketch Challenge. Here's the sketch that I'm working off of today, and I'm going to be adapting this sketch into a spread for my Life Crafted album. These sketches can, of course, be used for a 12 by 12 layout, but I find that they really work well in Life Crafted albums too when you're working across both pages. So you can find this sketch on my Instagram page as well as on the Citrus Twist blog if you're interested. Here I have my two photos. One is a 4 by 3 landscape oriented photo, and the other is a photo that I printed out using my Instax printer. And I'm using the Bungalow Lane add-on kit that's new to Citrus Twist Kits shop this month. And I love how the warm tones of these papers go with the warm tones in my photos. So here you'll see approximately where I'm going to be placing these two photos on my layout. And because my 4 by 3 photo is going to end up spanning across the two pages, I made sure to pick out a photo that I wouldn't mind cutting down in half, so it's not like cutting anyone's face in half, for example. Now, the thing I like most about these kits is that I know these papers and embellishments are all going to work really well together. I'm just going through them and picking out the ones that I think will go best with my photos. So right off the bat, I knew that I wanted to include this darker paper with the multicolored florals. This is pattern paper number 11 from Paige Evans' Bungalow Lane collection. And I just love how this provides a nice dark contrast for the rest of my pattern papers as well as my photos. After that, I decided on the more neutral pink paper with the plus signs on it. That's number 3 from the Bungalow Lane collection. And I picked that one as a more neutral paper for the darker, busier pattern just beneath it. Next, I was debating about pulling in some green, but I did end up changing my mind on that in the end. And I knew that I wanted to include a bit of yellow as well to bring out some of the warmth in these photos. So I pulled out that yellow Moroccan tile paper from the Vicky Boutin Storyteller collection. And you'll see that I changed my mind on that later on in the end as well. And I also picked out the craft colored paper with the white leafy designs on it as well as another one of my neutrals, and that one is paper number 7 from the Bungalow Lane collection. So now that I have my stack of papers that I'm thinking about using on this spread, I'm just starting to cut them down to build up the layers on my page. Just mostly eyeballing the measurements relative to how they look like in the sketch in front of me. And in the sketch, it's a bit harder to see where each paper starts and ends, but it does look like there are 3 longer strips of pattern papers that run across the page, and then there's this narrower one that just kind of peeks out a bit on the top of the left side of the page. So I'm going to try and mimic that the best I can on my layout. Once I cut down that darker pattern paper with the multicolored florals, I realized that there was that beautiful yellow pattern paper with the lines on it on the back side. So this is where I decided to omit that yellow Moroccan tile paper and replace it with this yellow paper instead. I did try to sneak some of the green back in there, but ultimately I decided that there would just be too many colors going on if I included the green. So I'm just going to go with the darker floral paper as well as the 2 more neutral papers that I had picked out as my base layers, and then use that yellow paper as more of an accent on the top left side of all those layers. And now that I'm satisfied with the layered pattern papers on my page, I'm moving on to the embellishments. So in the sketch, there are 3 circle-shaped embellishments on the left side of the photo there, and I decided to use these floral pieces from the Bungalow Lane ephemera pack that came in the add-on kit because they are kind of circular shaped. I learned from the last spread that I made using this add-on kit that some of these flowers are a lot larger than the other ones. So before I started recording this video, I had arranged the flowers into piles of large flowers, medium-sized flowers, and smaller flowers, and that really helped when I was looking through them to pick out the ones that I wanted for my page. To replace the large flower on the bottom of the right side of the sketch, I'm using one of the butterfly ephemera pieces from that same ephemera pack. I just found that it added a bit more movement to direct the viewer from the left side of the spread to the right side. But I did add one of the medium-sized floral pieces just behind the top right corner of my Instax photo, similar to what it looks like in the sketch. Before I started gluing everything down, I did cut my 4x3 photo into two, just so that I can make sure I'm placing everything down onto the page relative to that photo, which is essentially the middle of my layout. And as usual, when I'm adhering down layers of papers and embellishments, I'm starting from the top layer and working my way downwards by adding adhesive onto the top layer, then picking up the next layer, then adding adhesive to the back of that, etc. And I like using my Tombow Mono permanent adhesive tape runner for this, just because I do find that it gives enough wiggle room that if you accidentally adhere something to the wrong place, you can still kind of peel it off and adhere it down to the right place if you want, just as long as you don't kind of fully press it down before that. Once I have all my layers adhered together, I'm just taking out my paper trimmer again to cut along the line where I had originally cut that photo into two, so that these two pieces can be adhered separately onto the two base pages to go into my Life Crafted album. I decided to adhere that last pink flower on the left side of my page with some 3D foam squares, just to give it a bit more dimension. And here I'm just adding 2 enamel dots to the top of that page, similar to how it looks like in the sketch. These enamel dots are some of the exclusive items from Citrus Twist kits that came in this add-on kit as well, and I love how the colors coordinate so well with the colors in the rest of this kit. Here I have some leaves that were left over on this branch. I had been tearing this apart in my previous video to use on a previous spread, and I decided I might as well just tear off the rest of these leaves to use on this page as well, just to add a bit more interest onto that right side of the page. And I'm just using my Zig two-way glue pen to adhere those down. I just like the fine tip on this glue pen, and it just makes it easier to adhere those tiny leaves down to my page. After that, I added one of the thicker foam stickers that came in this add-on kit to the left side of my spread to mimic that label that is below the circles on that sketch. I took my pages off screen to punch the holes back into the pages after covering them all up, and fortunately I didn't get any hole punches through anyone's face in the photo. And I decided to extend that pink plus sign paper a bit towards the left side of the page, just to make it a bit more symmetrical to the right side of the page. And fortunately, I had a lot of paper left over, and it wasn't too hard to add a bit more behind those floral embellishments. I decided this page didn't really need any journaling, so for that spot on the sketch that was allocated for journaling, I'm just using another thicker foam sticker instead to fill up that spot. But I did decide to keep the enamel dots that were originally a part of that sketch, so there's my 4 enamel dots in that corner. So the only things that I don't have from that original sketch are the 2 strips of pattern papers on the top and on the bottom of the spread. But since I don't have a sewing machine, I didn't really have a way of doing that stitching in a neat pattern, and I really didn't think that my spread needed anything else, so I'm just happy leaving it the way it is. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Make sure to check out the Citrus Twist Kits blog to get a copy of the sketch if you're interested. And if you decide to make a layout using the sketch, feel free to tag me on Instagram or on the Citrus Twist Kits Facebook fan page so that I can check it out. Make sure you subscribe for more videos, and thanks so much for watching.